this is Thistle and Verse. I'm gonna do the Booktube Newbie Tag as my sort of debut video. I initially wanted to start off with a review, but I want to spend a little more time working on the review, and I figured that the newbie tag would kind of be an easy way to like dip my foot in to booktubing. So here we go. The first question on here is, why did you start this channel? Peer pressure from Onyx Pages. I work with her in an online book club called Solar Powered Afrofuturism Slow Reading Group. And she's like, I booktube and it's a lot of fun. Obviously you read books and have opinions because you're in this book club. You should booktube. And at first I was like, but she kind of kept at it, and as I got used to the idea, I was like, okay, this could be fun. Let's give it a whirl and see how it goes. So here I am. Here we are. What are some fun and unique things you bring to booktube? I'm told I have a dry sense of humor. Really, I'm not super plugged into booktube. The only booktuber I know is Onyx Pages. So maybe I'll have some interesting outsider perspectives in terms of opinions on books that people have already read, or even just what type of books I choose to review. Also, I'm very interested in like folk tales and fairy tales, and I would like to review collections on here. I just think they're just really multifaceted. Like, they're for kids, but they're also for adults, and they're like cultural, I don't want to say artifacts, because that makes it sound like they're not relevant, but like they're like a cultural product, and they're also like historical, and there's just like a lot going on, and even if you don't care about all the other stuff going on, they're just really cool by themselves. And I really don't know how many people are kind of interested in stuff like that. My impression of booktube is a lot of people look at like novels, like nonfiction, memoirs, and poetry collections, so that could be interesting. Also, I would like to review some comics on here. I know that like there are YouTubers that review comics on their own, but recently it seems like I'm seeing more crossover between people who write books and people who like are writing for comic books, like Ta-Nehisi Coates, Roxane Gay, Nnedi Okorafor, Nell Hopkinson, Eve Ewing. I feel like I'm leaving someone out, but like off the top of my head, those are people that come to mind, and it might be an interesting way for people who like their stuff, like their book work, to also see like their side projects. So that's what I bring. What are you most excited for about this new channel? I don't really know what to expect. I guess I'll find out as I go what's fun and what keeps me posting. Why do you love reading? It kills time. It's a hobby. My main form of media intake for a while has been TV shows and movies, and I just want to see more Black creators and Black storytellers, and I'm kind of realizing that there are a lot of hurdles to TV shows and movies that keep Black people out of those mediums. And it's not like there aren't hurdles that keep Black people out of like publishing and stuff, but just kind of thinking through like the very basic bare bones stuff that I know about these mediums is that TV shows and movies take a lot of money and a lot of people, and so there's just like a lot of steps along the way where things can fall off. But like with the book, it's a little simpler from my understanding, and just kind of like based off my experience, I feel like it's a lot easier for me to find like a wide slew of authors than it is for me to find like a wide slew of people like making movies or making TV shows. And so that's why I like to read. I feel like I can experience a lot more stories this way. What book or series got you into reading? I don't remember like the aha like book from when I was a kid. Reading as an adult, it was definitely Octavia Butler and Wild Seed. It was like a summer like 2 years ago. where I just kind of had a lot of spare time on my hands, and there's a lot of buzz online about like Afrofuturism, and Octavia Butler's name kept coming up, so I kind of just like went to my library, saw what books they had from her, and they had Wild Seeds, so I picked it up, and it like made me think in a way I hadn't thought in a while, and it made like raised very interesting questions I wasn't really seeing raised in like other types of media that I was like consuming, like intaking, and it like just like made me feel and connect to like characters and stories in a way that I wouldn't say ever, but like in a very long time. So I was like, maybe there's something to this reading thing. Maybe I'll get back into it. Next question is, what questions would you like to ask your favorite booktubers? Only one I know is Onyx Pages. I don't really have any questions for her. Sorry. It's not a very interesting answer. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I don't like giving my opinion to strangers, and that's like all a booktube channel is, so that will be very interesting. Also, editing and tech stuff, like I'm not very tech savvy, and I don't plan on becoming tech savvy for the sole purpose of this channel. So when did you start reading? I've kind of been reading forever. Like, my mom taught me how to read when I was a kid, and it was just kind of like an easy way for me to get attention because I was good at it. Like, I remember it was kind of like a parlor trick for like family friends. Like some adult in my family would like give me like the Bible or like some book they were reading and like pick a random page and be like, here, read this. And like I wouldn't understand a word of what I was reading, but apparently it was impressive. And it got me a lot of positive attention, so that's kind of why I read as a kid. And then it really kind of just was a way to like fill time. And around high school, I just didn't have time, so I stopped. And then about 2 years ago, I got back into it. So that's a very long answer. Where do you read? I have a very long commute to work, so I read on the train to work and back from work. Oof. What kind of books do you like to read? I read a lot of fiction. I used to really like fantasy. I still do like fantasy. I read a little bit more sci-fi now. I don't know. I like the idea of hard sci-fi, but like to me it just kind of feels like pulling rabbits out of hats, but using a lot of complicated words while doing so, whereas fantasy just kind of like happens. So I do still read both of them. Like most of the stuff I read isn't really like slice of life, like realistic type fiction, and I don't read a whole lot of nonfiction. So it's probably going to be like either fantasy or sci-fi. I don't really do much else. So thank you for watching. I plan to review Pride by E.B. Zaboy. I'm going to try and put that review up sometime within the next 2 weeks. So stay tuned if you think my perspective on that will be interesting and worth listening to. Thanks again for tuning in. Bye, Booktube.